members. First of all, welcome everybody to public service. We're glad to have you with us today. Members, if please sign in if you have not. Clerk, please open the roll. And please take the roll.
Madam Chair, you have 6 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. And do any of the members wish to be recognized for personal orders? Yes. Representative McCollum.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Members in the audience today, I have a shadow with me today from Brentwood High School. It's Miss Victoria Gildenberg. She is a junior. If y'all would please make her feel welcome.
Okay, there are a few items that we want to clean up before we move forward. It's item number 3, which is House Bill 1813 by Representative Russell. The sponsor has requested that this bill be rolled for 1 week. Without objection, this bill is rolled for 1 week. Item number 7, which is House Bill 1797 by Representative Lynn. The sponsors also requested that this bill be moved for 1 week, and without objection, we're going to roll this bill for 1 week. House Bill number 8. Item number 8, House Bill 1485 by Representative Hale. The sponsors also requested this bill be rolled for 1 week, and without objection, 2 weeks. It says 1 week. 2 weeks. The sponsors requested it will be rolled for 2 weeks. And without objection, we're going to roll that for 2 weeks. Item number 11, House Bill 1890 by Representative Hemmer. The sponsor has requested we roll this bill for 2 weeks. And without objection, we're going to roll this bill for 2 weeks. Item number 12, House Bill 1182 by Representative Mayberry. The sponsors requested this bill be rolled for 2 weeks, and without objection, we're going to roll it for 2 weeks. Okay, now we're ready to take up the regular calendar. We're going to start with item number 1, which is House Bill 1633 by Representative Brickett. We have a motion and we have a second. There are no amendments filed, so Representative, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This is an administration bill brought by the Department of Finance and Administration. It basically tightens the law that protects sensitive banking and financial account information held by our government entities. And that's kind of all it does. It just be sure that our departments don't release sensitive banking information to the public. And it basically codifies what they're currently doing, so it gives them cover. So that's it.
That's it. So members, do we have any questions? Questions have been called. Clerk, please open the vote. Those in favor of moving this bill forward to full committee, please vote aye. Those opposed, vote no. Every member's voted. Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 5 ayes and 1 present not voting.
The ayes have it, and the bill moves on to full committee.
Thank you, committee.
Thank you. Up next is House Bill number 2. Item number 2, House Bill 1504 by Leader Lambeth. We have a motion and a second. There are 2 amendments filed on this bill. Leader, do you wish to present both amendments?
Madam Chairman, if we could go forward with just 012943, and I'm looking at legal, but I believe that would delete all language after the enacting clause and would rewrite the entire bill.
Motion. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment goes on the bill. Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and members. So years ago, decades ago, we had a Capitol Hill protection zone. They had dedicated officers that protected this area for all members, staff, guests, visitors, anyone. And they shifted that over the Department of Homeland Security, Safety and Homeland Security. And so we have dedicated officers, we have staff, we have folks that are manning this area, but we've never actually laid out the geographic parameters of that. That's literally all this bill does. I want everybody to keep doing what they're doing right now, but the Capitol Hill Protection Zone will be laid out. If you go to DC and you go to our nation's capital, it is clear when you step onto the Capitol grounds, you realize, oh, okay, I've entered into the Capitol area. In most other states, they have a Capitol Hill Protection Zone that they recognize. This doesn't add any staff. This doesn't change anything as far as penalties or anything else. It literally just lays out the parameters of what it is.
Do we have any questions from our members? Representative McCollum?
Thank you, Chair Lady. And Leader, thank you for bringing the bill. I think it's a great idea. Just for clarification, and if the amendment takes care of it, the fiscal note on it, can you speak to that?
You're recognized.
The fiscal note on the amendment is not significant.
Do you have any more questions? Question's been called. We're ready to vote. Clerk, please open the vote. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Has every member voted? Does anyone wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 5 ayes and 1 no.
The ayes have it, and this bill moves on to full committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Thank you. Next up, item number 4, which is HJR 727 by Representative Moon. We have a motion and a second. There are no amendments. Representative, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. This HJR, this resolution writes what I think is wrong. I'm sure you've all heard from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Over 200 years ago, 13 sailors died in an explosion on the USS Intrepid. They washed ashore. They were interned in a mass grave. Later, they were separated, but yet they lie in a hostile part of the world. These graves are desecrated almost daily. This resolution urges Congress to take the necessary action to bring these sailors back to the United States and be properly interned.
You've heard the explanation of the bill. Do we have any questions for the sponsor? Yes, Representative Warner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Moon, for bringing this bill. I think it's very important. I think this country should take the proper steps for any fallen soldier in any country to bring them home. So thank you for bringing this.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady.
Do we have any more questions? If not, are we ready to vote? Those in, clerk, please open the vote. Those in favor of moving this bill forward to full committee, please vote aye. Those opposed, please vote no. If every member voted, does anyone wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 6 ayes, 0 noes.
The ayes have it, and this bill moves on to full committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady and communities.
Next up is item number 5, which is House Bill 1858 by Representative Wright. We have a motion, we have a second, and there are no amendments. And Representative, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, this is House Bill 1858. And as a recovering county commissioner, I fully understand sunshine. This bill's been brought to me by Senator Briggs and relates to members of an elected body or bodies that report to an elected body gathering information. This bill would allow those individuals to have meetings electronically of 2 or more members of an individual body. It has to be posted. It has to be
recorded and open for inspection at future dates. Having made that little brief announcement about what the bill does, I stand for questions.
Members, do we have any questions? Seeing none, clerk, would you please open the vote? Those in favor of moving this bill forward to full committee, please vote aye. Those opposed, no. Has every member voted? Does anyone wish to change their vote? Clerk, take the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 6 ayes, 0 noes.
The ayes have it, and this bill moves on to full committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee.
You're welcome. Next up is item number 6, which is House Bill 1474 by Representative Bolso.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. There are no amendments. Representative, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, members of the committee. This is a bill that seeks to prohibit the display or maintenance of pride or transgender flags on state-owned grounds and in state buildings, including school buildings. And the genesis of it are complaints that I've received from certain parents in Williamson County who object to the presence of these flags in certain school buildings. The bill also indicates that the state will not adopt a Pride Month, whether it be June or some other month, on our official state calendar. And that, Madam Chair, is a summary of the bill.
Before we take any questions, we do have some testimony on this legislation. And so without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from Joanna. I'm not for sure I can pronounce your last name. Is Joanna here? Yes. We're out of session. Joanna, would you please state your name and who you're with for the record? And you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Johanna Cohen. I'm a Republican from Robertson County. This bill seeks to make it illegal to show support for members of the LGBTQ community, but seems to forget it is not illegal to be a member of the LGBTQ community. In the definition section, an LGBTQ flag or emblem is defined as a flag or emblem intended to display support. How and who is determining the intent? Would something like this hat be deemed against the bill? The bill seems to seek control of employees' right to freedom of expression down to the items on their desks, posters on their walls. In section 15.3.103C2, the bill states this section must not be construed to restrict or regulate speech or conduct protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, as made applicable to the states through the Supreme Court of the United States interpretations of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Representatives, that is exactly what this bill is doing, and saying it cannot be interpreted that way seems dishonest. The flying of a flag or display of an emblem is considered symbolic speech. And while there is an ability to place restrictions on flags, that is usually in reference to size, number, or time of year, it is supposed to be content neutral and apply to all flags. This bill is entirely content specific. The bill mentions civil damages. There is no civil damage from seeing a flag or emblem, or poster, or cup, or hat, or shirt, or pin that supports members of the LGBTQ community who are legally allowed to live in Tennessee with all the freedoms of their straight counterparts. Civil damages are monetary awards granted to an injured party who suffers a loss due to another party's wrongful or negligent actions. These awards are a legal remedy in civil lawsuits. The primary goal of a civil damage is to provide financial compensation to restore the injured party to their condition before the harm occurred. They seek to make the injured party whole. A rainbow doesn't cause civil damages. And when I look at the bills that are filed in the House and Senate, I ask myself, who does this help and is this necessary? I would hope that something is similarly done when they're filed. This bill does not help any Tennesseans. It relies on the observer trying to determine the intent of another person. It is unclear how to determine what is or is not an emblem or flag. Written into the bill is the very obvious argument against it, and the recourse of civil damage is a fraudulent claim. There's an Irish ballad called The Wearing of the Green. The lyrics of the chorus are, for the wearing of the green, for the wearing of the green. They're hanging men and women for the wearing of the green. There's a lesson in that song. You can legislate the wearing of a color or the display of a flag or emblem, but you cannot legislate a person out of existence. There's a quote often attributed to Mark Twain. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Well, the Irish wear green today, and when this storm blows over, there will still be a rainbow. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony today. Do we have any questions for our guest? If not, we're going to go back into session, and thank you for being here with us today. Sponsor, you're recognized for any comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can make a few comments. First, I think all of us would agree that schools are places where kids go to be educated, not to be indoctrinated. And it's simply not appropriate for a pride flag or any other partisan political flag to be displayed in a schoolhouse or on a school building. And similarly, think back to June of 2023, when President Biden hung the pride flag from the Truman balcony on the south portico of the White House. Many of you will remember that image, the pride flag hanging between two U.S. flags, given the place of prominence. That causes division. You know, we've got the American flag, we've got the Tennessee flag. We have flags that unite us. Those are the flags that we should display in our public buildings. And there's actually a bill working through the U.S. Congress. It's very similar to this, called the One Flag for All bill, that's sponsored by Representative Diana Harshbarger from East Tennessee, obviously. So I certainly would disagree about whether there's a need for this legislation. And then with regard to the First Amendment freedom of expression claims that have been raised, I'll say two things, Madam Chair. I mean, one, you know, the U.S. Supreme Court addressed this issue in 2006 in Garcetti versus Ceballos and said very clearly that when you are an employee, you do not have a right to say whatever you want in the context of your employment. It made a distinction between public speech and private speech. There is no First Amendment protection for public speech. A teacher who's hired by a school district that is placed in front of the classroom does not enjoy First Amendment protection to say whatever she wants or he wants to a classroom full of students. That right does not exist. And then secondly, as the witness pointed out, the bill specifically says that this bill is to be construed in a manner that's consistent with our Supreme Court precedent on the First Amendment. So it's completely constitutional in that respect. It complies with our Supreme Court precedents, and it's something that addresses a need and an issue here in the state of Tennessee.
Do we have any questions from our members? Yes, Representative Salinas.
I think this bill is so mean-spirited and targets our community, and whether you like it or not, gay people and the LGBT community are a part of our state. So I just wanted to say that. But are you familiar, and I have deep concerns about freedom of speech in this and the unintended consequences that I don't think you're even considering. Are you aware of the term rainbow baby?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What was the term rainbow baby?
Yes, sir.
I have never heard that term.
Never?
You're recognized.
Representative, you're using that term is the first time I have ever heard it.
Okay. So the term rainbow baby is a baby that is conceived and born after someone has experienced a miscarriage or has had an infant die. And that is how women that have experienced miscarriages commemorate. So sometimes you will see pregnant women with their maternal pictures with rainbows, or they wear rainbows to commemorate the loss of that baby. And the rainbow is of huge significance for both the LGBTQ community and people that have experienced miscarriage and loss. So in your bill, if a woman were to have a picture of her being pregnant with a rainbow, what would happen to her?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Likely nothing. I mean, what you're describing, Representative, is not an issue that has ever come up, so far as I'm aware, in any public school system at any time in the history of the state. The problem is a real one. You can deflect attention to other issues, but the real problem is that we have teachers and administrators who want to indoctrinate kids about rights that are allegedly maintained and preserved by these various flags. Transgender rights, marriage of individuals of the same sex, things of that nature. That is the cultural battle that's being waged in classrooms across the state, and it does not need to be a battle at all. Schools do not need to have partisan political flags on any desk or on any wall in a classroom. And then secondly, understand that the way this bill is enforced is through the private cause of action that is created in it, which is something that I think is going to be very valuable. This will never create a conflict between a teacher or an administrator or a public employee in a school district or a public employer, because it says that no person is going to be threatened or action taken against a person for violating this law if it passes. Rather, it's a private citizen, a taxpayer, a resident, who can bring the case if, in fact, that parent or a student is actually affected by a violation of the act. So the types of images that you're referring to are not, so far as I'm aware, an issue in the state. And the likelihood that anyone would bring an action against a mother who had a miscarriage and then a child, I think is just far-fetched. No one would bring an action against a mother for that reason.
You're recognized.
When someone loses a baby, sometimes there was a lot of shame associated with a lot of fear, like failure. And a lot of women aren't very public about having a miscarriage. So they do display rainbows in remembrance. And this is something that's really common. Miscarriages are common, and people displaying rainbows is really common. And I think there are going to be unintended consequences of your bill. And if someone looks LGBTQ or appears to, for whatever reason, someone thinks that somebody's LGBTQ and sees a rainbow, this could put them into a really bad situation for something that you don't even understand. And you said you had never even heard of in when you were answering the question. I know you're a Catholic. I'm also Catholic. And I wear my St. Jude medal. Are you a Crucillista by any chance?
You're recognized.
Could you repeat that, Representative?
Crucillista from the Crucillo movement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to answer your question. I question the relevance of a question like that, but I have been to a Crucillo retreat in the past, in February of 2020.
You're recognized.
The reason why I've written is because my mom is a Crucillista, and she started the Crucillo in Memphis for the Spanish speakers. And my twin brother, is a Crucillista. And I would love to one day I haven't had the time to go to a retreat to become one. But the symbol of the Crucillo is the rainbow as well. And the reason why I know is because my mom displays them all over our house. She has one on her car. She has always displayed the rainbow as a symbol of the Crucillo movement. And this bill limits her freedom of speech to have pride in her faith and how she lives it out. And the same with my twin brother. But the symbol that they use is the rainbow. So by you being so near focused and trying to go after the LGBT community, you're going after a lot of people and their freedom of speech, including religious freedom of speech.
You're recognized. Do you have any more comments?
Just one, Madam
Okay.
Chair. I mean, the rainbow, Representative, has existed since the beginning of time. It's not something that was created by the LGBT community. It's not something that is owned by the LGBT community. Rainbows will continue to be displayed in school books, on walls, and other places. This deals with flags, not just with rainbows.
You're okay. You have another question? Okay,
It says emblem on here.
go ahead.
I'm just saying it here says emblem as well. Flag or emblem.
You're recognized.
Sure. It does. It refers to an LGBT flag or emblem, and that is a rainbow is not by its very nature an LGBTQ flag or emblem. A rainbow is a rainbow.
Any more questions from our members? Questions have been called. We're ready to vote. Please open the vote. All in favor of this bill, please vote by voting yes. And then if you're opposed, it would be a no. Does anyone wish to change their vote? If not, clerk, please take the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 5 ayes and 1 no.
The ayes have it, and this bill moves on to full committee. This brings us to item number 9, which is House Bill 1398 by Representative Pearson. Do we have a motion and a second on this bill? We do have a motion and a second. Representative McCollum, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move previous question.
Previous question has been called. I see an objection, so we're voting on that motion. All in favor of the previous question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Previous question prevails, and we now move on to the vote. Clerk, would you please open the board for the vote? The board has been open for vote. We're going to take the vote. All in favor of this legislation, please vote yes. All opposed, no. Does anyone wish to change their vote? If not, clerk, please take the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 1 aye and 5 noes.
Has everybody's voted, and the nays prevail, so I'm sorry, your bill fails. Item number 10, House Bill 958 by Representative Slatter. Do we have a motion and a second? Motion. We do, and there is an amendment on this bill. If there's no objections, we'll go ahead and put the amendment on the bill to get it properly before us. Representative, please give us your drafting code.
Yes, that drafting code is 013041.
All in favor of putting this signify by saying on the bill, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we are going to put that amendment on the bill. And Representative, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Chair Lady, and thank you, Committee. In 2023, the General Assembly took the important step of enacting paid parental leave for state employees who welcome a new child through birth or adoption, but foster parents were left out of that legislation. House Bill 957 adds foster parents to the state's existing paid parental leave policy for state government employees and includes guardrails to ensure the leave is used appropriately. And with that brief explanation, I stand ready for questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for our sponsor today? Seeing none, are we ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Has every member voted? Does anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 6 ayes and 0 noes.
The ayes have it, and your bill moves on to full committee. Next up, we have item number 13, which is House Bill 1666. Representative Mayberry. We have a motion and a second. There are no amendments. Representative, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Chair Lady and Committee. I did not choose this number, by the way, just kind of came up. This bill just expands a bill last year that Leader Cochran passed that has to do with pronouns to expand, just to bring clarity to also include honorifics. I stand ready for questions.
Do we have any questions for our sponsor? Yes, Representative Salinas. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. We do have someone here to testify today. Chaplain Annalise Johnson. Please come forward and state your name and tell us who you're with for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
Chair Rudder and members of the committee, thank you for allowing me time to speak on HB 1666. I'm Chaplain Darren Annalise Johnson, a 22-year resident of Davidson County. Now, this may seem like an odd place to start, but one of the things I'm most proud of as a parent, one of the things I've heard the most from others about our child is just how considerate of others, how polite he is. However, I can't take sole credit for this kind disposition, of course. From the time he was born at Oxville's UT Medical Center, and then with the supportive TEIS staff with whom he and we were connected in his early years. He had models and all those around him about how to interact with others with care and consideration. Now, according to the subject listing for this bill, it is a matter of human rights that this legislation expand the number of ways the faculty and staff of these institutions could have opted to be rude to him or dismissive of us. Thankfully, though, all these employees of the state must not have believed in promoting the same, quote, important state interests that TCA 85121 does, because they understood that caring for a child and helping, me, overwhelmed parents better tend to their autistic son was more important than finding novel ways to throw shade at someone else under the guise of free speech. Much the same case could be made for his experience and ours along the way in public schools. Rather ironically, given the discussion on prior issues here today, it's true that TCA 49-65102 asserts that free speech doesn't stop at the schoolhouse doors, just as 49-72409 and 85121 do for their respective spaces. However, the administration, staff, faculty, and students at all 4 schools he attended recognizing that having the right to say something doesn't make it the right or polite or kind thing to say. Teachers, I think we all would hope, help demonstrate how we go about the business of getting along, or at the very least, getting along well enough with each other. This is predicated on some base level of trust and mutual regard, a trust which, when we can't count on the other to offer even rudimentary forms of decency and respect, is eroded to the point the necessary functional relationships lose all possible utility. What do you think will happen when, as this bill would allow, a student or fellow staff member stops calling Principal Smith principal simply because they feel some kind of way? There are any number of reasons HB 1666 is the wrong bill at the wrong time for the wrong reasons. I haven't even touched on how underbaked it is, which is, one wonders, exactly included in honorifics: professor, miss, representative. However, the most salient point is this, that in doing their work, most all of this state's teachers and nurses, doctors and students, agency staff and citizens operate in a way that renders moot
sorry, but
even the
your time's up.
pre-amended language this bill goes after. That's because
Your time has expired. Thank you so much for your testimony. Do I have any questions for the, we do have a question.
I urge you to vote no on this bill.
Please be respectful of this committee.
Please be respectful of each other.
Thank you so much for your testimony today. And we do have a question for you, I think. Am I correct, Representative Salinas?
Yeah. Are there any, when we're not respectful to each other, are there consequences to that? Physical or mental consequences?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Certainly, I would say most basically, even in the work that we need to do with each other, it breaks down, doesn't it? We then also carry the weight of that disrespect, that lack of trust, that intentional harm and disregard that we aim towards each other. So beyond the immediate harm to the acute work that is being done or need for connection between two or more parties, you also have the weight and the damage to the relationships that causes for all parties involved. Does that help get at what you were asking?
You're recognized.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions for our guest? Thank you for being here. We will now go back into session. Sponsor, you're recognized for any comments.
I renew my motion.
Questions? Oh, I'm sorry. We did have someone signed up to speak, to ask a question. So Representative Salinas, please ask your question.
Should I refer to you as Ms. or Mrs.?
You're recognized.
Madam Chair Lady, I would be a Mr.
You're recognized.
Because last year I asked Representative Cochran if I was exercising my freedom of speech if I referred to him. And he said under his bill on the floor that I was exercising my freedom of speech. So while you prefer to be called Mr., under this bill, I can call you Ms., Mrs., but I'm not going to do that because we were both freshmen at the same time. We came in together, and I was only doing that as an example because I would never treat you like you're treating our LGBTQ community. And your bill also hits on other places. You know, I have a master's degree in pharmaceutical sciences, and I know a lot of people oftentimes they don't see the difference between professor, doctor. Those things in my profession are very tied, so closely tied to the amount of work you've put in, to tenure, to where even you went to school. And oftentimes when people on the outside kind of refer to us, we just have to kind of learn to move past them, but it hurts if you worked 7-8 years for a PhD and sacrificed so much. We didn't make, so I was a graduate student, we didn't make any money. And it's just a signal of respect. I would never say, not if someone had a PhD, not refer to them as doctor or a professor. In my field, professors are bigger than doctors. They have more tenure. They have sometimes certain amount of funding, certain status in the department. And while people would say, oh, when you were in a class, that was one of the things that we learned. Who was a professor and who was a doctor? And we have universities that are public colleges, and so teachers, state employees, all those people. Anyone could come in there and call them whatever, regardless of how much work they put in. And I think this is one of the things I pride myself when I go to other places in our country is that the politeness that we bring as Southerners. This goes against everything we stand for as Tennesseans. And it's sad. It's very sad.
Representative, you're recognized. Question. Oh, forgot that part. I don't think the question has. You call it.
Kind of respond.
I didn't recognize you. I have to recognize you. So we're going to let the representative speak.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. So we are both freshmen, absolutely. We came in together, and I would venture to say and hope to say that I've treated you with very high respect ever since we have interacted from the very first moment. That's what I try to endeavor to do in my life, is show everybody mutual respect. This bill, the reason I brought it up is there is a teacher in our district that is wanting to become called by the wrong honorific. It's a bill I would have brought up last year. Just as a freshman, I didn't get a Senate sponsor. So this year, it's my first opportunity. I think it's important that in our education system that we teach objective truth, and your biological sex is important is part of that objective truth. So to confuse a child in a classroom or to ask someone in authority to ask a child to call them something that they are not is problematic to me. It's also problematic to me, teachers within parents within our district. So the reason we brought the bill today is to make sure that people that are in authority cannot exercise authority over children. And then not knowing what could be the outcome, of course, is illegal for them to, if they were called, this person in particular is a Mrs., wouldn't be called a mix, actually, MX. But if they were to not respond in that way, what punishments could be brought towards that child? It wouldn't be necessarily said out loud, but I think it's incredibly problematic. So that is the reason this got brought here today, and that's the reason we're running the bill.
Representative Salinas.
Thank you, Chairwoman. We have so many problems in Tennessee, so many problems. And I know you've always treated me with respect, but we have a certain level of privilege as representatives that a lot of our constituents don't have. And we only have 10 bills that we can bring forth, and we have our imagination's the limit of what we can and obviously the Constitution. But in a state where we have hospital closures happening, kids going to school hungry, my LEA in my county has $1 billion of deferred maintenance, that you would take one bill spot just to target one person in your district is sad.
Representative Warner.
Question on the bill.
Question's been called. We're ready to vote. Clerk, please open the vote. Those in favor of moving this bill to full committee, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Has every member voted? Does anyone wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 5 ayes and 1 no.
The ayes have it, and this bill moves on to full committee. Next, we have House Bill 14, which is we have item number 14, which is House Bill 1463 by Representative Langford. Is Representative Langford? Oh, you're on my committee. I forgot. I'm so sorry. It's been a morning. Representative, you have no amendments filed, and you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is my first bill, so take it easy
I
on me.
know. See, I was just pretending. I was giving you a hard time because
Well,
it's your first.
right.
I was pretending you weren't here.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to bring this before you today. This bill comes to us from Leader Lambert's office from a constituent who was on Capitol Hill on December 7th of this past year and noticed flags were at full staff. He took a picture, sent it in, and after looking into it, we realized that it's not in Tennessee code to consistently do that each year. So this would amend the current code with a new subsection requiring that on December 7th of each year, any flag flown over the Tennessee State Capitol to be flown at half staff from sunrise to sunset in observance of Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. This bill is intentionally limited. It only applies to flags over the state capitol and does not mandate action by counties or municipalities. It does not create a new state holiday or programming requirements. Fiscal note is not significant. And all this bill does is ensure that the seat of Tennessee government consistently honors those Americans, including Tennesseans, who were killed or wounded at Pearl Harbor and the generation that answered the call that followed. And ask for your support. Happy to answer questions.
Well, I would just like to say that you did an excellent job presenting your first bill, and I am so glad you got to present it in this committee. Now, members, do we have any questions? We do, from Representative Eldridge.
I just want to know if you intentionally picked a bill like this so we couldn't hassle you about it. That seems like this was, planned.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wasn't intentionally planned that way, but it did work out in my favor, I would say.
I think we have another representative that wants to give you a hard time, and that would be McCallum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could give one piece of advice to my good friend from Montgomery County, never volunteer that this is your first bill. Secondly, it is a really good bill. I'd like to sign on to it, so I will bring you a sheet. Thank you for bringing it.
That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. Okay. Question. I have to recognize. I'm going to recognize you now, Representative Warner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I apologize. Question on the bill.
Question's been called. We're ready to vote. All in favor of this bill, please vote aye. Those opposed, please vote no. Clerk, please take the vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? The ayes, okay, go ahead, clerk. Tell us the outcome of this vote.
Madam Chair, you have 6 ayes and 0 noes.
The ayes have it, and this bill moves on to full committee. That concludes our calendar, and without objection, we are adjourned.